He was also a fixer, a go-between, not merely between lawbreakers and politicians, but between one type of racketeer and another. Because he measured his success in these roles by only one yardstick, money, he was always on the make. It follows that I might have placed his penchant for making money first, but this was a trait he shared with many. As a fixer and a go-between, he stood alone. He did much of his fixing at Lindy's restaurant in Times Square, spending so much time there that many thought he owned the place. Abe Scher, Lindy's night cashier, was used to seeing Rothstein at Lindy's and was familiar with his habits and desires. "Mr. Rothstein comes in," Scher recalled. "Every night he comes here. Regular as clockwork he comes here. Sunday night, Monday night, any night. Everybody knows that. Like always, there are some people waiting for him. They are waiting near his table, the same one where he is always sitting. You got to understand, this place, it is like an office for him. People come in and they are leaving messages for him. All day and night they are telephoning for him here. It ain't that Mr. Lindy likes the idea, but what can he do? An important man like Mr. Rothstein you do not offend. So, like I am saying, he comes in and he goes to his table. He is saying hello to people, and they are saying hello to him. Some fellows, they go to his table and they are talking confidential to him. You know, they are talking into his ear. Did he give anyone money? Who knows? Mr. Rothstein you see, but you do not watch. Does he have his little black book? Is there a time when he is not having his little black book?" Half of Broadway treated Lindy's as their clubhouse. Actors in one corner, songwriters and song-pluggers in another, gamblers in yet another. Damon Runyon gravitated to Lindy's newspapermen's section and wrote about the inhabitants of the underworld section. In Guys and Dolls, Lindy's became Mindy's, and Arnold Rothstein became Nathan Detroit. Elsewhere, Damon turned A.R. into Armand Rosenthal, the Brain. "Nobody knows how much dough the Brain has," Runyon wrote, "except that he must have plenty, because no matter how much dough is around, the Brain sooner or later gets hold of all of it." You could find A.R. in Lindy's almost any night, making deals, lending money at rates as high as 48%. Arnold Rothstein compartmentalized his whole life into various segments, some legal, most illegal, a confusing but profitable mix of legitimacy and corruption. Most knew Arnold Rothstein as a gambler. He was much more. His Big Bankroll nickname revealed far more than one might surmise. From his earliest days on the streets, he carried huge amounts on his conservatively tailored person, eventually up to $100,000. A big bankroll conferred immense power upon the bearer. Have a scheme? See Rothstein. In a jam? Go to Rothstein. You'd get the money on the spot. No paperwork, no wait. And so A.R. fenced millions of dollars in stolen government bonds, backed New York's biggest bootleggers, imported tons of illegal heroin and morphine, financed shady Wall Street bucket shops, bought and sold cops and politicians. Rothstein wasn't merely rich, he was smart. That was how he became rich. A.R. was the great brain, smarter and savvier than those around him, no matter what crowd he was with. The gamblers, the reporters, the politicians, the hoodlums, the show people, the legitimate businessmen. They knew it, he knew it. He prided himself on his overwhelming intelligence, his ability to calmly, coldly manipulate any situation. He bristled when people said he cheated, even though he did cheat, especially since he cheated. "Because the majority of the human race are dubs and dumbbells," he once boasted. "If you have a few brains and have learned to do things and size up people and situations, they think you are crooked. You can't make so much money and not be a crook. If I had the time, I could tell you how to make money in any line you want and make it straight. A crook is a fool. A liar is a fool. I never saw one yet that didn't hang himself if you gave him rope enough. To be a thief is an admission that you lack brains. A thief always has contempt for himself. Every man wants to be honest, to live clean and keep his promises, but it takes brains, personality, and opinions. I back my opinion to win every time. I wasn't 15 years old before I had learned my limitations. I never played with a man I wasn't sure I could beat. I knew how to size them up. I still do. That's all there is to making money." A.R. pretended to be almost everything he was not, including a gambler. He hated real gambling because real gambling involved real risk, and Arnold hated risk. He was too smart to take risks. Sunday night, November 4th, 1928, began for Rothstein not at Lindy's, but at his legitimate West 57th Street offices. In 2 days, America would go to the polls. Rothstein had placed heavy bets on Herbert Hoover for president and Franklin Roosevelt for New York's governor. It didn't take a great brain to predict that Hoover would trounce Alfred E. Smith. Smith was too Catholic, too wet, and too Tammany to beat Hoover during unprecedented prosperity. But once again, Rothstein proved smarter than most. He had bet early on Hoover, long before Smith's candidacy inevitably collapsed. Back in September, A.R. phoned Chicago, Boston, St. Louis, Baltimore, and Kansas City to secure odds of 8-5 on Hoover. Now they were 20-1. It did, however, require some nerve to wager on Roosevelt. FDR hadn't held elective office in over a decade. 1928 looked like a Republican year, and FDR's opponent, New York Attorney General Albert Ottinger, was no pushover. Rothstein's treasurer, Sam Brown, helped total up the wagers that night. If Hoover and FDR triumphed, Rothstein cleared $570,000. If both lost, he lost $1,250,000. There were other combinations. If Hoover and Ottinger won, A.R.'s winnings slipped to $300,000. If Smith and Ottinger won, he lost $900,000. He made one last bet that night with gambler Meyer Boston. As Rothstein prepared to leave, he received a call from Chicago's North Sheridan Hotel from a Joseph Unger. The topic, A.R.'s newest and now biggest enterprise, drugs. At 7 p.m., A.R.'s chauffeur, Eugene Ryman, drove Rothstein's Rolls-Royce to the Fairfield Hotel, where Rothstein had resided since his long-tottering marriage finally collapsed a few months previously. It wasn't difficult for Rothstein to find a suite at the Fairfield. He owned it. Inez Norton lived there, too. Norton, a 32-year-old ex-model and Ziegfeld Follies showgirl, was A.R.'s current girlfriend. The tabloids said Inez was pretty, but her face was pudgy, her countenance hard. 2 years before, she had married and quickly divorced a millionaire. Tonight, Arnold and Inez would dine at the Colony, Manhattan's most fashionable restaurant. At the Plaza Hotel, A.R.'s long-suffering, estranged wife Carolyn, another blonde former showgirl, supped with friends. A.R. and Carolyn were negotiating an end to their divorce, a process proceeding as amicably as such unpleasantries went. Superficially, all seemed right in the world of Arnold Rothstein. Arnold was very gay, his normal, natural self, and very much in love, Inez Norton recalled. He didn't seem to have anything on his mind. He certainly didn't fear anything. We spoke of many subjects, but mostly of love. He said that he hoped soon to be free to marry me. He said everything would be mine, his property and the money, but I cared only for him. Sure she did. It had rained all day, and the windy and sleet-filled evening wasn't any better. When dinner ended, A.R. and Inez took A.R.'s limo to Times Square. Inez headed for the Rivoli, one of the area's opulent new picture palaces, where she and a girlfriend watched Erich von Stroheim's lavish The Wedding March, a silent film about the evils of marrying for money. Rothstein, who never went to movies, headed for Lindy's. He had business to attend to. He always had business, even if he didn't know in advance what that business might be. Arnold Rothstein attracted business like a magnet. It was 9 p.m. At Lindy's, A.R. checked messages, spoke briefly with associates, and for about an hour conversed in hushed tones, as he almost always did, with Damon Runyon. Rothstein did most of the talking. Right around 10, A.R. checked his billfold. He felt tapped out and dispatched chauffeur Eugene Ryman to get some dough. At 10:12, 6 blocks away, Park Central Hotel switchboard operator Beatrice Jackson took a call from room 349, a 2-room suite where 3 days previously a George A. Richards, Newark, New Jersey, had registered without benefit of luggage. Richards paid $12 cash for a day's rent, paying again each morning thereafter. "Place a call to Circle 3317, the voice from room 349 told Beatrice Jackson. Circle 3317 was Lindy's. Lindy's owner, Leo Linderman, liked the great brain, though his wife Clara despised him. However, neither Lindy nor Clara appreciated the incessant phone calls Rothstein received at their establishment. They ordered Abe Scher not to take any more of his calls, but not accommodating A.R. didn't really seem like a good idea to the thin young man. So Abe passed the message on just one more time.